What is this magic?
That video you just saw was a 3D printing time lapse. Have you been wondering what 3D printing is? Well, today I'm going to teach you what 3D printing is. Let's jump in. So let's start with what is 3D printing, also known as additive manufacturing. The basic concept of 3D printing is that it takes a digital file, which is a representation of a 3D object, and turns it into a physical object that you can touch and feel in the real world. And how it does this is by printing that physical object layer by layer. Let me demonstrate. Here I have a simple 2D representation of a digital file, a simple rectangle. And the 3D printer would build this up layer by layer. So it would print the first layer, then print the next layer on top of that, and the third layer on top of that, and then prints it layer by layer until it has the complete physical object. This is a time lapse showing how 3D printers build up layer by layer. Now you may be thinking, how is this different than other forms of manufacturing? Well, the opposite of additive manufacturing is subtractive manufacturing. And that's where you take a chunk of material, whether it's a sheet of metal or a block of wood, and you either cut out or carve out the object you want. So the advantage of 3D printing is that you are only using the material you need for the object. I'm now going to talk about the types of 3D printers. I'm not going to delve deep into this, but I want to give you an idea of the breadth of types of 3D printers out there. And there are three main types: extrusion, polymerization, and powder. Extrusion is the most common type and the type we're going to focus on. It's what you see in schools and in houses the most. And the way extrusion works is it takes a thread of plastic, heats it up in a nozzle, and spits it out like a tube of toothpaste and draws each layer layer by layer. Polymerization, or otherwise known as resin printers, has become a lot more popular recently because they have dropped in price and sort of flooded the consumer market. The way they work is there is a vat of resin which can harden when you shine UV light at it, and it builds it layer by layer. Powder 3D printers use powder to print, as the names would suggest, right? And it can be something like nylon powder, and it uses a laser to melt the powder together for each layer. Again, building it layer by layer. Now, within each of these areas, there's great detail you can go into. I just wanted to give you a broad overview. We're going to focus, as I said, on extrusion. Okay, let's dive a little bit into how FDM works. As I said before, it takes a roll of plastic, feeds it into an extruder, which heats it up, and then spits it out in a thin line like this, and draws each layer. Let's look at what an actual 3D printer looks like. So here's the roll of plastic, and you can see the filament comes down through here. It actually goes through the motor that pushes it here. It goes through this tube and down in where it gets heat up, and then it gets spit out the bottom there, right here, drawing it layer by layer. I'm going to simplify that layer by layer. So pretend this is my build plate and my mouse is the extruder. So if I'm drawing a box, what I would do is the 3D printer would draw the outline of the box by squeezing out a thin line of plastic and then fill in the inside. Now, the 3D printer actually doesn't fill the inside completely solid with plastic. And there's two reasons for this. One is it saves time, and two, it saves plastic. Both good reasons. And you can control how much plastic is filled on in the inside. Once it's done that layer, if it was building a box, it would start building the layer on top of that. So it would move up a little bit, build that layer, fill in the inside. Okay? Now let's say the third layer had something sticking out of the box, like a little handle. Well, it would build that. Here's my handle. And it would fill in the inside. And that's how extrusion 3D printers work. It's really like drawing each layer on top of each other. Really simple, yet really powerful.